Okay, let's call to order the regular meeting of the Design Review Subcommittee for Wednesday, December 14th at 3 p.m. And we'll start with the approval of the minutes. Did everybody get a chance to review those?
I have no changes.
Okay. Commissioner Cosgrove, did you review them?
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a
I'll move that we approve the minutes of the Design Review Subcommittee meeting of November 9th, 2022.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Being none, that passes. Can you sign this for you, Adam, right now? Or?
Yes,
Or-
you can do it at the end of the meeting if you prefer, but
So I don't forget. Thanks, Pat. Okay. Let's go into the review of our agenda items. The first one we have is a minor architectural permit, 22-040 for Surfside Pizza Outdoor Patio. We have a staff presentation. Okay.
Yep, all ready? Okay, good afternoon. The item before DRC today is a request by Surfside Pizza for an outdoor patio at 216 Avenida Vaquero. The applicant is pursuing a minor architectural permit to allow for the outdoor patio area, and is also seeking a minor conditional use permit for the sale of beer and wine. The applicant is here today, Ed. Thank you, Ed, for coming. And understand today's meeting is intended to have the DRSC provide recommendations on how the request can best comply with policies and design guidelines that relate to various visual impacts, such as site planning, architecture, and landscaping. The applicant also understands that the subcommittee is not an approving body, but instead makes recommendations to the zoning administrator. We've prepared a brief slideshow presentation today, which includes applicant provided materials regarding the outdoor patio request. So, as noted, the project is located at 216 Avenida Vaquero, over there in the corner. The graphic on the left is intended to be a little bit of a zoom out of the general area. And then the inset on the, the image on the right is the location of the proposed outdoor patio. It's being put forward by Surfside. This image here is intended to be just a depiction of what the pre-COVID-19 condition of the site looked like. The location being in front of all, dead center in the middle of the image, with the existing kind of concrete apron surrounded by a fence barrier. This is an image, obviously, on the top there it says COVID-19 operations. The applicant was granted a temporary outdoor operation permit for the sort of palapa structure you see there with some adjoining picnic tables and umbrellas. The scope of work today that we're asking to be evaluated is what's here. So it's for a permanent outdoor patio enclosure, moving from the temporary one to a more permanent sort of structure. It's comprised, aspects of it are comprised of a wood wall with built-in benches. There's planter walls. There will be a gate that leads into it and out of it, obviously. A couple bollards are being proposed as well under the recommendation of our engineering group here at the city. The outdoor furniture that's there presently, including the umbrellas and the lighting, is all existing and to remain. There's no requested modifications for that. And just FYI, the outdoor alcohol service area, they're expanding the outdoor alcohol service area for the patio as well. Separate issue, but just FYI. This image here is an example provided by the applicant that shows what it might look like. Don't know if this is exactly what's being proposed, but this is kind of the plan going forward. At the moment, for this sort of bench wall, it's 36 inches high. that would surround the enclosed area, or enclose the area. Here is an example of a planter wall. It's also 36 inches in height, which would help enclose that area as well. Here is an image of what's there presently, including the lighting, flood lamps, fluorescent lamps. We've also got umbrellas and some patio furniture that's out there. Obviously the color of the yellow bollards are not existing bollards. That's where they are proposed to be. The recommendation again of the engineering group department. This is a picture of the site plans proposed. These areas here, here's the two bollards that were in the previous image. These are intended to be the planters here. We have a gate that opens here, and then this is surrounded by the bench wall here. So the bench wall would enclose this area here, planter walls, and then there's a series of tables and some seating area on the inside, which we're working with the applicant to ensure that the occupancy of this is in keeping with city requirements for parking and occupancy. So this is the design as provided by the applicant at the moment. And that's basically it. So at this point, open it up for thoughts.
You guys have any questions?
Could you bring back the elevation from the parking lot? Okay, that'll work. It appears that the actual condition, compared to what the drawing we have here, shows the entry door into the pizza parlor further to the right and closer to the corner than I think the drawing shows. And the reason I say that is on most of the patios we reviewed previous to this, during COVID not, we hesitated providing patios that went in front of adjoining businesses' windows. And this picture makes it look like it doesn't, which is good. But the drawing doesn't. So we need to get that, I think, clarified. And, is the storage room part of the pizza parlor space?
Yes. Doors remains closed though. We don't want customers going in this.
Okay. And just an observation, when I walked it, it almost appeared that the wall could almost return back to the building because it's really not a walking space between the building and the patio. I'm wondering if that can be done rather than having it kind of a totally separate.
So in this location here,
Yeah, because I think the door is actually further to the corner, the entry door to the, I think it's about 4 feet, 3.5, 4 feet from the corner.
You're talking about the door to the...
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that whole patio couldn't be adjacent to the building.
it's my understanding, based on conversations that the other planner on the project, who's spent some time working with Ed and also others during DMT, conversations is that this walkway is to be maintained here between the building.
In a nutshell, basically, nobody uses that as a sidewalk, but for ABC, they said you need to have accessible as low as sidewalk and also for ADA purposes too.
So that would be back over, well, you certainly need ADA to your space. Are there any ADA stalls along Vaquero? Or are they all right in front of the massage parlor?
So with the property, it sits kind of like a hill. So to appease the ADA, they have to have 2 handicap stalls. And they were all on our side as opposed to the rest of the property because the rest of the property is so like on a hill.
Okay.
So if you had a wheelchair, it would roll down so the landlords weren't going to try to level off the parking lot, but our section was the most level part to put those parking spots, handicap spots.
Okay.
So there is a walkway from, was that north to south, along the building there? or-
No.
I would say people on the long axis utilize that to say if they walk from the large slicker to up to the massage parlor, but nobody really uses that beyond that. Like in our store, the Bronner place or the barber shop, they just simply park the car and walk directly to that particular business like ours. But again, to all the rules and ABC, they said, nope, you gotta construe that as a sidewalk. Okay. But nobody uses that as a sidewalk.
So they couldn't walk around?
Huh?
Or they couldn't walk around your,
No, they can. The way it's gonna be structured, yeah, they could conceivably walk through it, but like I said.
no, I mean around it on the outside, as opposed to adjacent to the.
Around here,
Oh,
Mhm.
well, yeah, they could.
I think one of the things I remember hearing, looking at with Carla on the project is the drive aisle. And then you just sort of keep pedestrians and also people sitting there kind of out of harm's way. I think that was a consideration of why, in part, the space was to be left the way it was out in front of the building proper for pedestrians.
So that's a zero curve all along that edge?
Yeah.
There's no curve there?
And that's flush with the pavement.
Okay. What was your name again? I'm sorry. Jack? No, Ed.
Is that
What was your name again?
Ed?
Ed, I'm sorry. Have you looked at the guidelines for the Del Mar and some of the other outdoor seating areas
No, I have
in
not.
San Clemente?
No, I
Okay.
figured they might be a little bit different because, they're actually out on the street, so, But I did take a picture of the bench from one of the Del Mar.
Yes, that's El Ranchito, I saw that.
Yeah. Okay.
Just kind of get an idea what everybody else is.
Yeah, they're on a raised platform to be flush with the curb, the gutter. Yeah.
So, Chris, does this have an impact on parking? Adding the seating here?
It would if, so what I know about parking is that anywhere from 0 to 32 folks inside the building allows for 8 outdoor seating areas, 8 seats outside. So that's what and as long as that's kept, no parking analysis isn't required. So parking provided, there's 8 outdoor seats are provided. There's not an issue with parking. Parking is okay.
So you do have some seating inside?
Yes, we do.
You have great pizza, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
My granddaughter loves it.
That's right.
Any other questions?
Waiting for Bart to finish all his.
What does has the landlord had any comment on
I
this?
was gonna say.
All they need is, I guess, ABC or you folks just get their permission to say, hey, okay, sounds good. Frankly, I think anything enhances we do the property, they're more than happy because they don't want to outlay any money for it.
Well, it's not one of our nicer centers, but it's not bad. So,
And
Mr. Carter,
just,
have any other questions?
Well, I wanna make sure Bart's done. I can see
yeah,
the
you can jump in.
wheels are
Go
turning.
ahead.
Okay. So the lighting in the photo, is that the same as, that's what you have now? You're not gonna change it? Are there any, and that's all in conduit, right?
What's conduit? Just
Like a pipe?
oh,
Or
yeah,
no
yeah,
exposed wire?
that's correct.
That's what I thought, I wanna make sure.
Otherwise, I would have survived all these years.
Yeah, and then, those are the umbrellas you're gonna use. It's just basically, you just wanna put the planter in and you wanna put the seat bench in.
Yeah. Well, obviously, just to contain everybody per ABC when you're serving outside.
Yeah,
So I necessarily doubt we're able to fit all the chairs in there because, it's kind of open-ended, but once we kind of, structure that out, seriously, doubt we're gonna have all those seats and tables in there. I just unfortunately.
yeah, I like the seat bench. I like how they did it at El Ranchito, and if you're gonna just copy that. And then obviously you're gonna match it, the stain's all gonna match.
Yeah, definitely trying to keep it from, withering away over the years.
What's your intention in terms of how long you're gonna keep this out there? Is this like a permanent thing for you?
Our mindset's permanent, sure, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to just make sure that the landlord understood that you're doing this.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah, and it doesn't really look like with the way that that concrete configuration is that there was actually ever parking there.
No, I think, well, first and foremost, I think that place has been there for at least 40+ years.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that there was outdoor dining all these years, but nobody really said anything until, we got the underwriting for doing the ABC license. They said, well, no, you need all these things, which I understand. So like they did.
You don't serve alcohol now?
No, I should have probably did it 6 years ago, but
Gotcha, and then as your permit, gonna have you serve in and outdoors?
that is correct.
Okay, so that's kind of why you're closed, is that part of the reason why you're closing the area?
Yeah, well, if you've been our place, it's very small inside, so we had
Okay.
to expand outside, definitely.
Okay,
I think that, all the requirements would have been a snap if it was just simply inside.
yeah, how do you clean that area now?
As sweeping,
Is that how you do it?
Yeah. and sometimes we have to pressure wash it from time to time because, it's a pizza press time.
Right, so you just wanna be, I'm mindful of that when you're doing your construction of your materials. Because if you're gonna be in there and you're gonna be pressure washing and that stuff is flushed on the ground, then, you might have a drainage issue. And I don't know what you guys' thoughts on that, but, when you're cleaning with the water and stuff like that, you don't want pools of water, so you wanna think about drainage. I don't know, I have a suggestion for you, but you might wanna talk to your contractor about it. So he understands and you've thought it through a little bit.
Yeah, Ed, too, that's a good point there. Back on this slide here, I know on the example you provided, it appears that it's on grade, it's flush with the ground. Is the intent to do anything different with the ground as far as material base, or is that just gonna stay concrete and the periphery is kind of being what's proposed for the bench and the planter wall? In other words, is anything happening in the middle here? Is there any material that's being?
Oh, no, it's gonna be simply, right. Yeah, because that'd be probably a little more expensive than we wanted. And also looking at the liability of somebody tripping, trying to get onto that platform.
Yeah, and then, what's that gate material gonna be?
Wrought iron.
Okay. Was that required by the ABC, or you just wanted to have a gate?
I just figured that's just what everybody else has been doing, so I just kind of followed that. I'm sure that's
Okay.
probably wooden gates and so forth, but I think the wrought iron make more sense.
It was a gauge required by ABC.
No, that's what I asked, he said
Oh,
no.
yeah, yes, they do require.
They do
gates.
require gates, okay, because I was questioning really
I believe it's 36.
the function of a gate for something like this.
It's part of the alcohol license.
Yeah, to control the area, I get it, okay. I don't think I have any more questions.
I got one thought, I just want to run it by you guys. We don't show the columns that are out there on the drawings.
You mean the bollards?
No, the columns, let's go back to that. You got the columns holding up the eave.
Here.
Okay, where does that fall in this drawing?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, didn't take that into consideration. But
It looks like it's right next to your neighbor's corner, and that's where I'm saying maybe that's to be fair to the adjacent business, is where the sidewall should be. And then I do want to kind of
well,
make the thing, we're going from a
actual-
temporary-
the pillars were actually would be literally actually the gate here would be so that those two pillars would be right here and right here.
let's go back to that front
Yeah,
elevation.
if you look, so there you go.
You can see that
Yeah,
it
so
looks
that's
like
our-
that is where the
That's-
neighbor's window starts. And that's where I think probably the patio should end.
Yes, that's exactly where it is. With
And
those-
with ADA, since we're putting something, is it 48 inches for the path of travel?
I think it's about 36
Well,
inches.
it's 48 where you have a turn, I think, but and the straight line is 36.
Because I'm worried that it's tight under there. But But we're going from a temporary solution to a permanent solution.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
And it shouldn't look temporary, because it's no longer temporary. And
That's kind of what I was asking that earlier, is
Mhm.
the staining, if you're gonna match. So when I said match, like it's all, like you're gonna build off of this, and it looks all built in as one frame, not, oh,
So
you've got,
you want
you've
to
got
match
this
the paint.
stain, yeah. You should, that's what his point is, and that's what I was trying to get at earlier, and I wasn't
because
clear.
it is going to be permanent. I don't quite understand why the handicap striping's going the direction it is for the parking stall.
Well, this one seems to encroach.
Exactly.
The loading
And
zone.
uh,
And even the plan view shows it. If it's not encroaching, it's very close to. I mean,
that is
the-
something the planning
Did you guys
has to
look at that,
do.
Chris?
Is the structure actually encroaching on the handicap space, that ADA space?
Well, the loading
The loading?
area is on that left side.
This here?
Right there, yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at the plan view,
I don't know that, well, it doesn't appear that the site plan has got that overlaying, so.
But we need to make sure it doesn't, and that's,
Well, there's this here, but that looks like it's more angled in. It could just be the drawing.
yeah, that doesn't match what's out there. So that
Well,
needs to be
that picture
confirmed
is
by
old,
planning.
So things have changed over.
It might be under restriped, but yeah, that's a good point, and I'll make a note of it. It's just to ensure that that's not being obstructed.
yeah, I mean, the whole thing, it's really tight. And the nice thing about those bench seats is that I think you might be able to pull it in a little bit, especially if you're not planning on putting a bunch of tables and stuff in there. If I'm, walking out your door with, 3 pizzas, I'm probably gonna run into that corner, if this plan is accurate. Where you have those planters. Looks like there's 3 planters, and then are all the rest of them the bench seats?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
I
gate
I think the planters take up more room.
So it's not exactly scale. I just kind of eyeballed it. But,
And
I think
I-
the entrance is a little more to the right.
Does your door swing in?
Outward.
That doesn't meet the handicap.
That's right, yeah,
Opening.
and that's a comment that we have, is that it'll be required to swing in. So that's some.
Well, no, there's not enough room for,
Yeah, you can't get a handicap person.
Just
Yeah.
over here. Yeah. Yeah, this one is.
so there's quite a bit of adapting there.
It's just too tight. I mean, you're trying to fit too much into that area there, I think. Especially with that sidewalk, people are swinging, the gate.
I'm
open.
quite sure we're not going to be able to fit 4 tables in there. That's why I said I just kind of eyeballed it, but I just seriously doubt we're going to fit all the tables in there. That's why.
You got a lot of seating with the bench.
That's why I
If
was
that
saying
wraps all the way
bench,
around.
so it'll maximize.
Why not just go straight across with the fence at that location? You could have it swing in, so that you wouldn't block that sidewalk, because it's a new gate, right? I don't think your occupant load's high enough that you're gonna have to swing out.
Steve, are you kind of suggesting maybe
I'm
he
talking
just,
entry door to the store also.
maybe just
Yeah.
cut it in here and have the gate here? Is that what
Yeah.
you're suggesting?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just
And have it-
eliminate this whole arc and just make it a straight in, put it to here, and then put a gate here, so that would open in this way. You'd have to reorient that table possibly.
And then just put a couple tables so that you can, put your stuff on while you're sitting on the bench,
Yeah,
those bench seats.
yeah, maybe smaller tables.
I think you cut a third of that out, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
But it
Maybe
does,
those like little round.
they all
tables
need
where they could put
to
a
meet
piece of
the,
sand on it.
access. I mean, the gate could even be on the right-hand side. It doesn't have to be on that path of travel there.
I mean, I like having the planter on the edge. I think that kind of softens it. The wood,
It does.
the wood's
Mhm.
fine, I think. Do they have,
Use that as a wall.
where if they have those, where it's a planter and a bench?
And are you gonna have this all custom made,
We're gonna have something built, yeah.
so they can build it that way?
Yeah, the planters are nice, it's something that one was a little sparse, the picture.
We
but,
intend to kind of grow urban spices and those.
How are you feeling about these ideas, Ed? Do you feel like it's?
Well, I think something with what you're trying to do, pointing out the entrances are not to scale, they're not as clustered as you think it is. It's actually quite accessible for anybody coming in with wheelchair, you know. It's just that I didn't quite get
But we
it.
just have to go by what that
benefit.
So I'm trying to find the picture that she got to show
You're
you.
gonna be able to find ADA requirements for an outpulling door, and it requires a lot of space.
I mean, it looks like it's only, well, your drawing says it's 13 feet across by 11.
Yeah, Chris, I think we should require a scale plan, that are accurate to review these. I mean, we're not making an approval here today, we're just making recommendations. But it's much easier for us to do that if we have a drawing that's to scale. So we can actually see what all the clearances are. Because that's probably the biggest concern here, I think.
Yeah, we're looking at about 145 square feet of space.
And all they need to do is provide access for 8 people. That's the limit occupancy load for that space.
Yeah. So you could, 3 tables.
I mean, I'm not gonna ask you, but I guess I know. You really think people are gonna sit out there and,
Not right now,
Dinner
because it's pretty cold, but in the summer, yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of
Okay.
people in the summer. Right
and
now,
are you gonna put any heaters out there?
right now, maybe at some time, but right now, I'm just trying to get this thing through, because, there's definitely some capital outlay that's been done in just for this.
Yeah, I do see people hanging out there at that.
Not at night, it's too cold.
Yeah. I'd say in the summer. Okay, any other?
Okay.
No, I think that's probably plenty for Chris to,
Cameron.
Okay, that's actually the.
Oh, you thought I was part of the.
Okay.
Oh, no.
I'm Sarah.
I'm sorry, I did submit this picture in here, so this is the entrance. So that is the post, so it'd be right here, so there's full on space.
This post-
to the-
This post to that post? Or is this
No,
post to
this-
that?
this-
Just these 2 posts here.
These two posts enclose the,
Yeah.
that door line, so you can see that the
It's
entrance
clear.
is fully
Yeah,
wide
show
open.
that to these other guys. Yeah, this is not really
So definitely
representative
my scale
of
is
that.
not up to par. So here's the post and the second post here, so it's all enclosed here, and here's the entrance, it's wide open. So definitely my scale,
Yeah,
is not up.
and staff needs an accurate depiction of what you're building. And I
Yeah,
think
if you have as much room as what you're showing me there, then
You're good to go.
this is probably okay.
Yeah. But Ed, do you know what we're saying as far as like an actual construction drawing?
Yeah. Yeah, well, my best part was actually a civil engineer, so it should be not the
So
same.
I think what we're saying here is the concept flies. It's, next step might be to return with, get your contractor lined up, get a construction drawing, and then come back here or no?
I don't think.
His option.
I'd let Chris make the call, as long as it doesn't drastically change.
Yeah.
In concept, we're not opposed to that site or at least I'm not opposed to that site having a outside patio, as long as it doesn't interfere with the adjacent business owner and
Agreed.
the handicap loading for the parking stall.
And then it ties into the existing.
And-
Yeah, if it goes from
and then
column
it
to
looks,
column, if it
it
goes-
looks like a
column.
permanent solution rather than a temporary solution.
And then it would just go to the ZA? Okay, so we won't see it again.
ZA?
It'll be the zoning administrator. If I could bring up one thing, in addition to the site design, is there any comments related to the design of the planter walls or the bench walls? Would staff
Looking at the
this?
samples,
They're proposing something similar to an unfinished wood. The wood on the rest of the site is painted. It's either painted dark, like a dark gray, or like a
Yeah.
half white.
I think if you could consider like a fiber on, that's like a Trex material. It's pretty maintenance free, and it's, if you get some nicer material, you're not gonna have, you're gonna have a lot of maintenance on the wood,
But,
even if it's stained, certainly if it's unfinished.
if Chris can provide, Ed with the guidelines for Del Mar, well, for all the outside patios that we reviewed, it'll give him an understanding of basically all our comments.
But do we think it should be paint to match on the wood? Because I think that's where we're leaning, and
It
then
needs to be compatible with the,
yeah, I think it would look
Building,
weird if it was just this natural wood against that facade of whatever that gray is or whatever. I think it would just pop out like, oh, you just
I'm not
walked.
sure that we want to match.
Well, I know, but that's the building that you
Yeah.
have, right?
Yeah,
it is what it is, yeah.
I mean, we don't want to make too much of this thing.
Yeah.
But, I think, those are good. That's a pretty good direction for you, right, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
And I guess, so ABC license only requires a ZA.
I thought that was a PC thing, an ABC license, no?
No, this is only for beer and wine.
Beer and wine, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, if it was full alcohol, it'd be the planning commission.
okay.
You're not putting a bar in there.
We're so small, we can't do that.
They went a lot of years without the beer and wine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, unfortunately, inflation gets some catch up. You only can raise prices so much before people say, well, that's too much. People are very price sensitive when it comes to food.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Unfortunately, you got minimum wage six years ago, it was $10. Yeah, it's $15, $16, but you can't hire anybody at that rate. Nobody wants to work.
Yeah, no, I'm an employer myself. All right,
Ed, thank you for your time today.
Thank
We
you very much,
appreciate
Ed.
it.
that's why you continue, we like the pizza.
All right, appreciate it. So,
Stay in
just,
business.
just expect to follow up with Carl.
Mhm.
Okay, let's move on. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Nice to see you, Chris.
Thank you. Let's see this.
John, you introduced yourself to both these guys? You know
No,
who you are? Might introduce yourself.
I'm John Champa. I'm
John.
doing some contract work for the city.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys
He's an ex,
worked at the city once upon a time,
Okay.
and looking forward to doing some more projects for the city. So,
Okay,
with
well,
that,
Yeah, you're gonna make a presentation?
yeah, I got a brief presentation along with some slides. So, what we have before us is the Chapad Jewish Center. It's an existing facility. They're proposed to do a remodel, addition, as well as some facade improvements for the site. It does require a site plan permit, cultural heritage permit, as well as a conditional use permit for some off-site parking that they're requesting. So here we have the project site located along North El Camino Real. It is located within the architectural overlay as well as the coastal zone. It's in the neighborhood commercial 2 zone. Here, as I touched on, so what we have is a major remodel to the first and second floor, about a 1,500 square foot addition, which is primarily associated with the expansion of the sanctuary, as well as the conversion of the existing 6 garage spaces on the backside of the building, as well as a mezzanine mechanical room area on the uppermost level. The project would result in an expansion of the structure to about 6,660 square feet, and as that, it would also result in the facade update to maintain the Spanish design. So as I said, it is a Spanish design. The existing design is Spanish. It is in compliance with the urban design guidelines requiring that architectural type in this area along North El Camino Real.
So it just meant not SCR.
Correct.
Okay.
So here we have the site plan. The existing building footprint is actually not changing. There are some modifications to the footprint of the upper floor. However, the ground floor, the lot coverage is not changing associated with the site. There will be 7 on-site existing stalls that will be remaining, as you see here. And at the back of the building here is where the 6 garage spaces are that will be converted as part of the sanctuary space. So here we have an existing elevation. As I said, it's in a Spanish design with the upper floor at a much smaller configuration than what is proposed. Here we have the proposed elevations. So some of these renderings that are provided have been updated since the staff report was provided, as well as the plans. So the majority of the staff recommendations have been incorporated in here. As you can see, along this front elevation, one of the recommendations was associated with a deck kind of above the arches there at the front and railing, and so that has been eliminated. Just the roof, the shed roof that leads into the building, as well as some planton wrought iron railing to the right of the arch, which has been eliminated to simplify the architectural design. The architectural elements incorporated are consistent with the Spanish design features, in that we have stucco walls, a hand tile Spanish roof, as well as deep inset windows and doors, as well as wood eaves and full arches. So it is designed to be consistent with that requirement. Here we have some other renderings. This is more south of the site, just a little bit different perspective, as well as we get that southern facing elevation there with the three inset arch windows, or I think they're doors with the Juliet balcony. Here we have the rear elevation, so this is facing the alley with the deep inset windows where there currently is the garage doors. One of the staff recommendations is to incorporate a preliminary grading, or landscape plan for some of the elements along the alley, as it is in need of some updates. It will also limit the amount of illegal dumping occurring in that particular area. While it is a very small area, I think that the enhancement there will benefit the site. Here we have, this is the north-facing elevation, just to give full context of the site. Illustrated, as you can see here, the site is stepped, as it is a lot that does have slope to it. And the overall building height is in compliance with the necessary height requirements, and that the main building is at approximately 29 feet, and the tower element is at 30.75 feet. So it is in compliance with the maximum height of 33 feet for the neighborhood commercial 2 zone. So as I touched on, the staff recommendations, 2 of the 3 have been addressed related to the deck, the upper level with the landscaping on it has been eliminated with just the shed roof to it, as well as eliminating the railing on the right-hand side of the tower, and then just a recommendation.
Can you go back real quick to see, I want to see the weather rate, yeah, one more, sorry.
No problem.
Okay. What railing were you talking about eliminated?
So on your plans, there was a railing. Do you see where the
up top, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, so it was kind of a planton. There was no deck. It was just
There's no access, it was just
Correct.
decorative, right?
Correct.
And there's very little roof tile that can be seen from El Camino, so that's a good.
Correct.
Right.
So the elevation's been simplified to, to address those issues.
Okay, no, that's great.
So that concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant, as well as the applicant's architectural team, are available for any questions.
Okay, did you guys have any additional comments you want to make?
I don't.
I don't, not at all. Okay. The off-site parking, where is it?
So they're proposing to obtain off-site parking at the city's park that's adjacent to the Boys
Across
and
the
Girls
street?
Club across the street.
In Los Molinos area down
Correct.
there?
Yes. So the city's coordinating efforts with Beaches, Parks and Rec in discussion in terms of the necessary need as well as availability.
Is that more of a PC conversation? Yeah.
Yes and no, because it does
It affects it.
affect our site plan.
Gotcha. Okay, because the spaces are off-site.
The CUP, is the current use approved by the CUP, or is it a allowed use in that zone?
It obtained approval back in 2013 with the
So
conditional
it's an
permit.
approved use, it's
Correct.
not a by
So
right
it is
use.
a conditional use.
Correct.
Okay.
It's CC2, right?
NC2.
Neighborhood commercial.
Correct.
I don't remember the details of what's a neighborhood commercial, if churches are allowed, or synagogues,
Well,
whatever.
it's CP,
I think
Yeah.
they're allowed with a CUP.
Yeah,
because the CEP, well, I guess the CEP allows for the off-site parking. This is an amendment to the existing CEP. Okay. So have you sort of looked at how people are going to safely park and access the site from the proposed parking? Because you're basically adding assembly space and reducing parking at the same time. That's usually counter to what we see, especially on site. So most of your people, I mean, I don't know how many it looks like, the diagram of your auditorium or your assembly space seats quite a few. What are these fixed pews that are shown?
No.
And there they are. They don't have to be.
They'll
Okay, what are you
they'll
proposing?
probably be movable chairs, but they're not really changing the number of people that come to the service. It's actually, they certainly have service downstairs in a smaller room, but it will be the same number of people. And also, they're not eliminating any parking outside, and the 3 garages are not used for parking there at all. And then the third thing is that in the Orthodox Jewish religion, you're really not allowed to drive to your service on Saturday. So people do drive because they can't always just walk, but that really very few people do drive.
or they'll drive and park somewhere far away and then walk the rest of the way. right?
Exactly. You know a lot.
Well, they're not supposed to drive or have any mechanical things on the side.
I'm saying you know that they'll hide their car.
Yeah.
And walk
No.
the block.
You own the building?
Yeah. So we bought the building in 2013. Right. And at the time that we bought it, we had the Orange County Department of Education was running a school out of there, so they already had kids that were coming there every day. It's a great location for us, and
Well, the CUP runs with the building, right? Regardless of the use, the denomination, let's say. So I'm not suggesting it's going to happen, but you could actually have a different
Oh, I see.
type of
Yeah,
congregation
I've been thinking about the same thing.
that is using that assembly space without the parking. Unless somehow the program is tied, I should say the CEP is tied to the program. Is
That's
that
the plan,
case?
is that if there is a turnover, that the building wouldn't be rendered useless, so that there's adequate parking provided. If the property were to change hands and let's say a Christian church were to go in there,
Let's say no church. Let's say-
or no church.
Let's say it went to just straight office.
Yeah.
They would lose their shared parking agreement because office is allowed by right in the zone, correct?
Right.
They
Well,
were
I mean, we
commercial.
would have to review the approval.
And then it's underparked for that use. And we have a number of buildings that don't have enough parking to be useful.
Yeah.
They can't even get a tenant in. I'm not saying this doesn't work, but this is something that would probably be discussed at the planning commission level. And we want to make sure we're not approving a function where if, because of economics or your popularity grows so much and you need a bigger space, that the building doesn't sit there vacant because it can't be parked. But it would, as long as the 6 spaces could be easily reconverted, which it could, I think. I don't think you're changing the floor level or anything in that area. The slab's already in, correct?
Well, it's a garage.
So they probably have a 4-inch or 6-inch step down into the garages.
Yeah, but the way remodeling it.
Yeah, the
That's,
whole,
the
that
garage
level.
spaces, those are no longer usable.
Correct, it would have to be a pretty good remodel to gain those back.
Yeah.
But okay, I honestly, for architecture, it's a heck of an improvement over what it is today, in my eye.
I agree, yeah.
I like this much more than I like the other. I'm not crazy about the overhang on the towers being tight and trying to get a corbel in there at the same time. If there could be an overhang for those, it would make sense then to have the corbels with the rafter tails out. As long as you're not, I don't think you're encroaching on any property lines, so
No.
that wouldn't be an issue. There's a bunch of renderings in the packet that show it.
Maybe back up to the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's okay, to this parking. How is that handled before it goes to planning commission? Do you define exactly where those spaces are and how many are needed? Because regardless of whether, you guys are driving, this could actually continue to be an assembly space, even with off-site parking if it's part of the CUP. But we need to know how many. I don't see any detail on here about the matrix that shows how many parking spaces are required based on the size of the room. And I understand there's smaller rooms now, but if you have multiple smaller rooms, then you can't have as big a group. You can get a pretty good sized group in this room that should be parked, even if it's off-site, if that's part of the CUP. And that'll be to your benefit as the owner. If, for instance, you guys move out and you want to get a different group in there that does actually, drive their cars and plans to do so. So, the planning commission is definitely going to want to know how that parking, where it's located, how people are going to get safely over to the facility. And it looks like, you have that handled, but it's definitely going to come up. So I would recommend that you get that taken care of. And just real quick before I'll let you get back onto it. It looked to me on your analysis here that you're reducing the amount of landscape on site, right? Currently, this is pretty small, so I have a hard time.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Read the numbers, but currently
I
it
don't
looks
think
like
so.
you're at 1850 square feet of landscape, and you're dropping that down to 502 square feet. And then it says, let's see, and then you had existing total parking, it says, 12 stalls on site plus one handicap, so 13, and reducing that to 7. So you've lost, that's where I'm,
But those are the
See.
garages that aren't being used,
yeah, but
so,
it's on
Yeah,
you.
that-
yeah,
Whether
right.
they're used or not
Yeah.
isn't
Still
the issue,
count.
it's what the
Right,
code requires.
exactly. But, and then I don't believe we're reducing the landscaping. I don't think so. I
That's
think
what it shows.
I know, I don't know where it shows that, but I think we're pretty much keeping it the same. We're not changing the configurations. So
Is the architect there?
we're both the
That's
architects,
her. And
Christine and Herman.
Okay, so this is your plan? right?
Mhm.
Okay, and it says a reduction.
Of landscaping. Yeah, I don't know. Herman, do you have?
Well, it states on here that the existing landscaping, now the existing landscaping is not being reduced, but it's elaborated, so it's the actual landscaping within the parking is actually at 497 square feet, and we're providing 502. So we actually are increasing the landscaping. We're not touching the landscaping nor the parking lot.
Other than what they're recommending on the alley?
Correct, yeah. Just embellishing the landscape strip so you won't get any more residual items being left over there, whatever you want to call it.
Couches.
Yeah,
Couches left over.
Oh, God.
mattresses.
So there's gonna be a landscape plan?
That's the worst. That's the best.
Yeah, staff's gonna be requesting as part of the planning commission packet that incorporates a conceptual landscape plan.
Okay, well, I wanna let you get back on the architecture, but one more thing, the landscape, you've got like two tiers of landscape in the front there, which is a pretty important part of the presence at the street. So I think you can definitely upgrade what's there. There's looks like some shrubs that are just kind of.
You talk about what's there now
Yeah,
or on the picture? The pictures are rendering.
yeah, no, but I can see what's there
Oh.
now, and it doesn't look much different. I don't know what you're planting there. But I think that there's two nice planters all along the front, and that should be considered with, the landscape
Oh, yeah,
design.
if we bring in a landscape architect, it'll encompass the whole site.
Okay, because that will have an impact, a positive impact.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
On the
wanted to,
streetscape.
Well, that
we wanted to
landscape
go
could
with
be-
that San Clemente look.
Yeah.
That-
And it's a little bit of a hodgepodge right now. so.
Yeah.
And you're not doing anything with those two walls. I mean, it's elevated above the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's existing, that
So
condition.
there's an opportunity.
Mhm.
that I
Yeah.
think you should-
Probably, if they retexture, they repaint, that landscaping probably will be wiped out anyways. or could be.
Right, once we
Exactly.
get done with
Yeah.
construction, we'll
Yeah.
have to
Have to replant
redo it.
anyway.
No, our
Yeah,
goal is to make it.
definitely,
Yeah,
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, the site issues are good. You're gonna need to update your perspectives, because they're showing hip roofs on the main building. On your flat elevations, you're showing gable end.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
We'll just have to look at that.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
rendered
that's
with,
funny, yeah.
it's
that
rendered
was-
with
tricky
hip
part
roofs.
with renderings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, it's just the way the
The actual
rendering turned
vary
out.
quite a bit.
It's not like that.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at that perspective,
that
you're
one's,
looking at a foreshortened from the front.
yeah.
It's a front elevation that's rendered, if that makes sense. So you're getting a 3D that's
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a one
Okay,
point.
yeah, so.
correct, yeah. So in reality, if you stood there, that would happen as well. If you look at the picture above, you can see that.
This is probably the easiest page to see how it was done. We've got hips on these two,
Oh, yeah, they're
which
showing
they're
gable.
gable end. Which,
Well, plus
they
they're-
just need to be consistent for the next level of approval.
And that the primary entry element on that's on the left, right?
South side,
That's your
yeah.
main entrance. On the existing, is that open all the way through? Trying to figure out.
You saying how does it look right now?
Well, that's a hip roof, right? That existing feature.
Well, that tower's a hip, and both towers are hips.
Yeah, I'm talking about the left, over there on the left.
Yeah.
It's
The
gable.
Well, but
Is that gable or
but
is
the
that
tower,
hip?
he's
The
talking
two-
about this.
Right, the two towers are hip roofs,
Okay.
Yeah.
and that's how it is currently.
And that's what we intend to have, but he was talking about the gabled ends of the large sanctuary
It's just the way
upstairs.
that this rendering is
Yeah,
showing
no, I know
from
what
the
you're talking
front.
about,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that, so is, in the current, it's hard to tell in the current
It's currently,
elevation if that hip
the hip is,
drains back into the flat.
oh, well, it's
roof behind it.
existing right now, so, and I don't remember
So it's
exactly.
existing hip, which is okay because you're not
Yeah.
draining it back into a vertical wall.
No,
I mean, I see.
Here's a spot you're looking at.
Yeah.
So probably not a full hip, they'll probably want to reach back.
right,
To the
To me, that
wall.
would almost.
right,
look
it would
better
just
than
reach
the,
back to the wall,
shed.
correct, yeah.
I mean, that would look better.
Yeah, you don't let it hit its way back.
Well, that's
Is
a
that talking about the
possibility.
drainage going
He's
from here to
talking
that?
about, yeah, he's talking
I mean, you
about,
could cricket that, of course,
we
but I
drew
think
it that way, but in reality, it's doing that.
that detail where your hip
Probably.
is
Oh, I got
dying
you.
into a vertical wall.
Whereas this one's,
He's talking about the tower. Okay.
yeah,
That's
the
not-
I thought he
lower,
was talking about the main
he's talking
building.
about the lower
The
tower.
short, yeah, right
Yeah.
there, right there, there
And,
you go.
yeah.
Yeah, those are, I mean, the other one rises above the roof behind it.
So that's
That makes sense.
that's a four-sided
Have a
hip, and that one down below is a three-sided hip.
Although we like the, even though we prefer your new design, the hip roof on that tower, on the existing structure, has a little bit of an overhang for those eaves. And yours is just tight, the hip
Yeah.
just runs right to the wall.
Yeah, we made a note of that, because you said, you mentioned it earlier.
And I think the lower one actually does that shed, especially if it sheds off of that vertical wall on that.
Some more
Because now the new tower is really kind of the focal
Yeah,
element on the street.
That's what I was getting at, the massing of the one on the right totally controls the building.
Which I understand, you're putting an elevator and a stairwell in there. But that's, that's kind of dominating the facade now.
Yeah.
And it might make sense to just have a shed roof.
Well, I don't
On the lower
agree. I don't agree because that's the entry to the building, and you wanted
Well,
to
this is
have.
only a recommendation.
Okay,
It's
yeah,
up to
I
you.
personally, I've done a lot of Spanish colonial revival designs, and I'm kind of a historian on that, and it would be, I think, inappropriate. So,
Do what?
to change that to a shed roof where
Oh.
the main entry to the building is. And
What about bringing it forward, the facade further on the forward on that?
I think we're right where we can have to be. I
It's-
think we're on the
Yeah,
property line.
Don't have any more room?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, the other thing I noticed is on, I think it's, at least the rendering that we have, which I guess has been updated. There's kind of a little arch on that side.
Yeah.
So
What
there's
did,
a little arch here.
yeah. What did we end up with, Herman, on the side
Doesn't show
elevation?
up there.
We have it squared off on that rendering. That was some. I think planning commented on that. We
Yeah, I
made a
think it
change.
is supposed to be arched.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can.
I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily in favor of the arch.
Yeah, well,
I think it looks
But we
better.
need to have consistent drawings because those questions will keep popping up.
right.
So yeah, we had an arch, and I think planning commented, and then we changed it to a square, and I mean, we're flexible on that. Yeah, we have a rendering or elevation here that shows an arch
Yeah, we can.
above
It's
that.
just the model needs to be upgraded. So
Yeah.
if you want an arch, we'll put an arch in
The
there.
arch would look more
Yeah,
consistent.
yeah, I'm fine. I think an arch above that, the way it's drawn, would be nice.
It's what it is currently.
Yes.
It's squared off currently, so.
Yeah, we'll
I
change
don't actually
that.
have a problem with
Well,
it. We just want to know what you want to
It might
do.
flow better.
Which one you want to do.
Yeah.
And on the side there, the south side, those are not balconies, right? Those
No.
are just for decorative purposes. I'm not sure you need them.
It's actually east, so that's.
Okay.
It has
You know what I'm
religious,
talking about, the side.
religious
Yeah, yeah, it's three
significance
windows.
to have the three windows with the French doors and he'll be lecturing in front of those. And I think it would be, from inside, it will be actually very beautiful. But
Okay.
also as you
So
drive,
that's not just a flat wall.
no, it's a deep wall, and those are deepened French doors with Juliet balconette.
Will it open?
Yes,
Okay.
that's where the sanctuary will be.
yeah, that's
second floor.
yeah,
I see.
and the rabbi will be standing in front of that central window, giving his sermon.
Well, that makes sense. 'Cause
Just in case I say
thought
something
they
they really
were-
don't want to hear.
Yeah, we'll
just
push
run
him out.
the back door.
Yeah, and I think it'll be very dramatic, and that room will have a volume ceiling, and it will have trusses, and so I think it'll be a very
nice.
lovely, dramatic space to be in.
And John, make sure you make them aware of noise to the residential area too.
They're not very noisy.
So we've been there
Everything's
for 10
But
years
as
now.
far as any,
Yeah.
if there's any amplified sound inside, that means all windows have to be closed.
Mhm.
It's one of the
et
things
cetera.
it's one of the things we can't do is sound.
Yeah, no, we've been
You
there
can't run
for,
power.
we've
What?
been there for
Can't
almost
run
10
power,
years.
right?
But
We've-
you're downstairs in small spaces. This is gonna be a little
Yeah.
bit different where you brought the.
Yeah. Well, the new building
roof
will be incredibly
to the top.
insulated, and also we're going to be having an acoustical engineer involved so that a lot of the sound will be absorbed. Excuse me. So yeah, we'll work on that.
And then the only other thing that I think will probably come up is I wasn't looking for it when I visited the site. The nearest lighted sidewalk or crosswalk from the other side of the street is how far away?
I don't know.
Because there is a distance, John, for
It's, I think it's near,
for parking to be less than, I'm going to say 300 feet. There was a number, 300 feet to parking that can be counted towards the building's parking. Do you remember what that is, Adam?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, but there is a requirement in the code.
Right, yeah,
So,
we know we've
dig that
discussed
out.
it and looked at it.
It's
No,
within,
no,
has to be within 300 feet parking.
Mm-hmm.
And does it have to be on the same side of the street? Because that's
No.
pretty
They
busy.
may have to get some kind of waiver or something for it, or, but there is a requirement that, since we're reducing it, moving it away from the site, it's got to be within a distance, and it's, you know, there's gonna be a controlled sidewalk somewhere.
Yeah, because that's a pretty busy thoroughfare there on El Camino Real. And if you're trying to get people across El Camino Real, that's gonna, we have a couple of planning commissioners that are very dogmatic about safety. So just make sure you address that.
Yeah, no, we're also, that's
Yeah.
our main concern is.
The walk to the corner, I think,
Yeah.
because that's a mid-block crossing right there. How about drainage? You guys,
We're not changing the civil engineering. I mean, it's
Okay.
basically the same.
how about the rain?
The rain?
Right, do you have gutters?
Oh, of course, the new project will have
Where are they
gutters.
gonna go to?
Well, they'll have to drain into the sewer system.
No, on the building.
On the building?
I don't see them on the renders.
Oh, well, this is early
I
on.
mean, it's a conceptual rendering. We're
Yeah.
not gonna have
They
gutters
would
on there.
go, yeah, they would go across the facade, or across the eave, and you would see downspouts. So, yes.
All the way to the ground, or are you gonna do them inside the building?
I don't know yet. We haven't done
They do actually
construction
show the
documents.
They do? I
Do
don't
we
see
show
that.
that?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
we
it's
show
right
that
on
on
that.
the
Oh, okay.
rendering? That's
Yeah.
interesting. I don't,
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll have downspouts. I prefer downspouts to trying to bury them in the building. I think, those are, I mean, I've seen them where they break.
One of the things I noticed is on sheet A 2.2, the left side, the middle image, you show the sort of scalloped plaster detail on the rake.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you guys plan to do?
Yeah,
That'd be a nice.
that's a traditional detail that we thought would be fun.
Okay.
Add.
It is, and it's
I
not
think, which, I think.
reflected on the renderings or the
Yeah,
elevations.
where is that one? Is it,
Come up this right here.
It's, you've got a
Which-
group of images on that upper right hand.
Yeah,
2.2.
so I was looking at it.
It's the second one down on the left.
second one
That
down?
box.
Is it that one?
We call them pleated.
Oh, yeah, we show that on the tower, on the right. We have that similar, not that, we don't have that detail that we show in that rendering. We have a different type of scallop on the tower.
Oh, yeah, that's a
different
on the
detail.
facade.
Yeah.
I'm talking about on the, up on
No,
the
I
rake
I
edge.
don't, we haven't really detailed that. Because it's a massive building, I don't think we want to do that everywhere. But
Well, that's a pretty plain facade, and I'm not big on just ornament, but that's a nice detail with
Yeah.
that Spanish
it
style.
is, yeah.
So I think it would really help that side elevation,
But then we'd have to do it all around. So,
just on the rake edge.
Yeah, just on the gable ends.
well, we could look at that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the documents. It appears that that's your intent, to put it everywhere, and that needs to be clarified.
Okay.
And then it's a blended tile that you're using. Are you gonna use the fully grouted starter course? Like a double or triple course?
Well, usually the city will ask us to do that. I don't think we have a choice, do we, John?
Well, it's just Spanish, not SCR, right? So,
Yeah, so I don't know.
That's a Spanish detail.
What I've done
is it
on,
Spanish too? Oh, I thought it was just SCR.
yeah, what I've done on some projects that aren't in that area is I've done the full barrel tiles on the front, and then I've blended it back into an S tile as you go back, so no one can see, but they see.
I don't think we're going to be able to do that style.
So that's what I'm just saying. I think in this particular project, we're supposed to do barrel tiles and do some sort of concrete.
Because I think it's an architectural
And
Yeah.
Shadow Creek bird stops too.
Yeah, it's kind of,
It's-
we have to talk about that with the city. I'm not sure how much they want. You know, it gets pretty expensive.
Okay. Anything else? Commissioner Cosgrove, anything else? Okay, nice job. Big
Good job,
improvement.
you got everything in.
Thank you for
Thank
your.
you, thank you,
for your
thank you very
investment.
much.
A little more
Thank
consistency
you
and
so
clarity
much.
in
We're very honored to be able
what
to.
we're looking at.
do
Well,
what
it's
we
the
do here.
nicest building in that whole stretch there, so hopefully,
And
Somebody
it's
will
being
follow.
made
Yeah, we'll try to buy the
nicer.
roadway in.
Yeah.
We're,
That would be great.
we're excited about this
okay,
improvement.
great.
We're very excited.
Well,
Thank you so
it should Be
much.
successful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they,
Yeah, we're
so
here to
much.
work with you.
yeah, they run a
Thank
great.
you. We
a
appreciate
great-
your
yeah,
working with us.
They run a great outfit, and they have so many wonderful opportunities for children, and it's a really nice group. And,
Well, that's
Thank
great.
you.
Look
yeah,
forward to seeing you at
yeah,
Planning Commission.
Thank you
great.
so much.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right.
Appreciate your time, thank you.
Yeah.
Push through, push through.
Thank you so much. We appreciate everything. Thank you so much.
You guys want to take
How you
a
doing,
break?
Sarah?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm old school.
Or should we just roll
I
right
love
in?
Well, I've seen this before, this has been brought, these guys were not here the first time.
The same project or the site?
Same project, and same site.
It's definitely been modified a little bit.
And
Leave it open a little
One
bit.
time it was
I'm so
retail.
sorry.
Leave it,
Yeah.
you gotta leave it open a little bit.
Yeah.
Now it's a
Public
hotel. Definitely incorporated some of the historical comments of the city from the last design review subcommittee.
Okay.
And
It's a big deal, this site.
yeah, definitely involved. The design's been thought through a lot more. And consultants involved now. And I think we're ready.
Before you start your presentation, Adam,
Absolutely.
are there available minutes from the previous times this has been before design review?
Yes.
Would
Yes,
they-
there-
So if we
yeah,
can
there
get
is.
them so they can review what the comments were at those meetings and get an understanding of what the
Sure.
previous reviews had to say and see how it related, I think that would be helpful in their reviews.
Yes, absolutely. I did not include all that as part of this, but I definitely will be able to get that part. Yeah.
You did include a lot of stuff.
Just some light reading. It's all good. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Thomas, Senior Planner, Planning Division. Today I'm going to present to you the gallery project. And so the proposed project is a 3-story boutique hotel, and the hotel will consist of 49 rooms, a restaurant, a cafe, and a parking garage with 106 parking stalls, as well as building services. And the site is located at 1801 North El Camino Real, and that is northwest of El Camino Real and Avenida Pico. And before I go into the architectural rendering that the applicant has provided, just wanted to highlight and in the staff's report to the DRC, highlighting a couple of general plan, coastal land use. This project has a lot of different layers to it, and we just want to kind of keep the focus for this part. There's an urban design element that talks about a preservation of view corridors. There is a natural resource element that talks about, again, preserving the natural aesthetic of the resources. Now, we can't completely say no project, obviously, but we can definitely do some tweaks. And as Commissioner Krendra has mentioned, this project has come to the DRC previously in previous years, and the applicant has definitely made a lot of modification to make it look as nice as they possibly can and to meet our guidelines. As well as there is an overlay on this project, which is our North Beach, North El Camino Real focus area, which basically is a visitor-oriented entertainment hub and a recreational area. Obviously, since it's so close to the ocean, everybody wants to be there. And as part of the commissioner's report, I also included the public view corridor impact analysis. And that document basically just shows the commissioners kind of what we're going to kind of look into and how we're going to analyze as we move forward with the project. So with that, this is basically the cover page of the project. As you can see here is Avenida Pico and North El Camino Real. And this is a street view level of the same street, Camino and Pico. And this is coming down Avenida Pico on the backside of what it would look like. And this is more a little bit further back.
What's the park above?
Yes,
On the
thank
park
you.
above.
And this is along North El Camino Real, coming down. And staff comes to the DRSC with the proposed project to provide initial, we wanted just to basically get your feedback on the overall view of the project related to design, architecture, prior to any recommendation moving forward with potential view corridor analysis. And that concludes staff's presentation.
The applicant like to say anything else?
No, I think we're good. I think being back in front of you guys is a great benefit to the project, especially this early on.
When were you here last?
So in my kind of initial analysis of the project,
Let's see,
there was one
I think Michael
2015.
Kopp and Julia Darden were still on the thing, so that's
Yeah.
6 years? 6 years?
I don't think it's been that long. I think the original retail submittal was 17, 18?
17, 6 years ago almost.
18. And then the second submittal for the hotel was about a year ago.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Prior to COVID.
It was just prior to COVID.
COVID.
Just prior to COVID. Because I remember we were coming back in at COVID
Yeah.
and you guys shut down. Yeah.
The one thing I want to, before we go into the specifics that
Yes.
Sarah wants to address, what's been response from engineering on access on and off the site?
So access on and off the site, this access is the same access that we've had from the beginning.
Because if you've noticed,
Yeah.
there's no U-turn,
Yeah,
correct.
anything
No, it's the dreaded U-turn.
around there.
Yeah, yeah, and basically the closest U-turn is down the street at the hotel, so that would be the closest U-turn, or you would have to go around the theater.
Through the historic district.
Correct,
Yeah,
yeah,
You'd have to
yeah,
jump across the road and then
make a right.
all of a
go,
sudden put
yeah.
all the traffic there, and then they
Yeah.
come
But
back
that-
around
that being
at
said,
7-Eleven.
this design is less intensive traffic-wise than the original retail design, as well as the previous retail/housing project that was also approved.
The reason I brought that up mainly was there's going to have to be a traffic analysis for that.
We'll have that.
It's just as important as the view analysis.
Correct.
They really should be kind of reviewed at the same time,
Yeah.
because it may affect where the site access is.
Yeah. No, I noticed it was on Alchemy, on Coast Highway there.
I think it has to be on El Camino Real. I think this is one of the busiest intersections in town.
It is.
At the right turn for Pico, so really having an access there would not work. So personally, I think this is the best place for it. The bigger question is, do we need a U-turn? The building has been designed to give up the space. We don't want to, because that's the buffer between the public right-of-way and the hotel.
Mhm.
Not to mention that creates basically a 6 to 7 lane thoroughfare right there, in a
views.
pedestrian in a pedestrian
Turn
neighborhood.
views. Yeah.
So, but I mean, we've designed for it. We've taken it into consideration. If we have to do it, we don't want to do it.
Yeah, and you probably, I'm sure, have realized it. There's also been the same problem with the U-Haul site.
Yes.
That I think a lot of the reason the U-turns are, no U-turns are there, is because you can't deliver a truck without
I know, I've tried.
going down through Los Molinos or,
I still use that U-Haul.
so, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to talk about that
Well, yeah, that's a good
today.
thing you mentioned it, because I was gonna mention that entry there,
Yeah.
at Camino Real, right, kind of in the middle of everything. What about is there anything you want to say about previous submittals and?
I mean, they were very well aware of line of sight now that we have a historic district now. It used to be, when we reviewed it, it was just some historic buildings that we were trying to protect. Now it's a historic district, which Sarah found all the cultural heritage resources and all, and the views and the view corridor stuff that mentions that.
Yeah.
And we need to determine how much impact is acceptable. And from where.
Correct. And that was the biggest discussion in the last meeting, was where is the view corridor and which one are we allowed to protect versus which one is
Right.
just being respectful.
And going to the gateway map and the view corridors, it's a pretty wide arrow. And was that arbitrary? Don't
Well, if
know.
you drive that, yeah, that's one of our best views.
Yeah, well, it is the best view.
Yeah, I'd say it's the number one
Yeah.
entry to the city. Down that end, you know. It's a tough site.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we really want this site to get developed.
Yeah.
Right.
Had we,
think we all
But
had we had the adjacent little site where the surf shop is, could have eased things up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Oh, so this doesn't include that.
This does not
No.
include the lost building, no.
So that's remaining.
That is
Yeah.
That
remaining.
currently is,
And
And
it could have
I know
just
at one time we were talking about going to Orange County and developing the wash as a pedestrian way, but right now we're not even talking about that.
Yeah, there's no
That's-
money for that.
That's a future discussion.
And that's part of your difficulty here, I think,
Yeah.
is that you just don't, it's like you don't have enough land
Yeah.
on that corner.
Yeah, well, I think there's enough land there because, I mean, this is a big podium and there's a lot of landscape. And we've basically given up probably 15-20% of it to the public.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying
Yeah.
that there's not enough landscape in
Yeah.
your design, but you've got a pretty massive structure, you know.
You have to go up instead of out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and we are only going 3 stories. It's not a huge hotel, but we are going 3 stories. We've kept the place to 9 feet versus 10 feet. A little bit more. In
And
line
also
with the
now we
style.
have the Landers is part of the historic district, that building.
Oh, it is?
According to the map, that's on the
Yeah.
city website.
And
Yes.
then the portion of the building that comes out towards Pico, that's a 2-story element. So we have 3 stories next to Lost and then 2 stories coming back across. And we did that as a reaction to some of the view conversations that we had.
So there's a narrative. I guess it's a pretty, is this the narrative on in attachment 1?
yes, that was what the applicant had provided.
Okay. So this is just kind of a quick statement.
Quick
of facts.
summary
I
of,
mean,
yeah, what the
I
project
think
is.
what we like to see
Mhm.
is, you know, if you review these attachments that Sarah provided about all the, you know, I mean, that's pretty extensive.
Oh, no, we've definitely taken into consideration
Well, I don't doubt that you have,
all the requirements.
but we don't have a statement from you saying, this is how we're dealing with this. This, we understand, that this is from you, we
No,
understand
definitely.
this is the most important view corridor in the city, and this is how we're dealing with it. And be specific in terms of how the massing of the architecture and the landscape. Because, I don't want to say unfortunately, but the site that you have here, you know, you need to really consider the landscape on the uphill side as well as the streetscape. I think, I like it, I mean, there's a lot to like
Yeah.
about, especially down at the street level, at the intersection, architecturally. But coming down, and believe me, I drive that all the time on
Yeah, I
my
know.
bike and in my car, that view is spectacular.
Can you go to the elevation on the backside, probably? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that roof line is articulated at each one of those Juliet decks, and those are all Juliet decks. So those are wood-clad doors and Juliet decks, wrought iron. and then that roof is articulated at each Juliet deck, it pops out. So you're gonna have the Spanish colonial tile there, you're gonna have the Spanish colonial plaster, and then every single one of those Juliet decks are articulated. You have your towers with the small windows and the small articulated openings that actually give you more of the Spanish colonial look. And then you also have the E raptor tails at the tower end. Over there, closer to the two towers, what looks like two towers, that architectural element there is providing additional articulation. The third level is actually clad in wood. So you're gonna have
Up in that corner.
yeah. So that stack of rooms there, and we actually bring that same element around to the front of the building.
Yeah, which I
So at the third level, we're starting to bring in material articulation just to break up the massing of the building a little bit. And at the first level here, we're actually changing our window treatments to give more of the stylistic articulation. So the windows are changing as you go up in the building, and then on the street, on the bottom level of that, we'll have the open garage aligning with these seam openings, and that open garage element will be the barrel tile openings to allow for fresh air to come into the garage, to eliminate the
That's
size of
only
our mechanical systems and stuff.
The upper level of the parking, right?
Correct. Yeah, so this is 2 levels above the podium.
I think the lower one has to be mechanical.
Yeah, above the car section. You're correct.
I understand what you're saying about the architecture, but, and I understand this is just a snapshot,
No.
right? You're
Yeah,
moving.
exactly. Yeah.
And there's this thing sort of being framed.
Yep.
But, this edge
Mm-hmm.
here, this works somewhat better. But I think that this, because you see the ocean, right? There's the horizon. And then this big mass. Again, I understand it's only a snapshot.
Yeah.
But this big mass that interrupts that whole view, that's not really framed, especially on this edge.
Mm-hmm.
I think some significant landscaping, even on this edge, you sort of need to treat it in a way like the front.
From a landscape
And think about how, you're framing the architecture.
Mhm.
I think you're starting to have some success here with the mass in here. This is pretty huge.
Yeah, the
And
hard
it's right
thing,
on the edge.
The hard thing with, and like that, we definitely looked to break down the massing of that corner as you come, because as you're coming down the hill and it gets lower, you actually get a view of the ocean quicker by basically breaking down that edge of the building. But on the interior side, that's also where we have our vertical circulation.
Yeah.
So not only do we have our egress, but we also have our trash chutes, we also have our elevators and stuff like that. So that's the vertical core of the building at the elbow of the 2 wings. I mean, anything short of making it a flat roof, but then we have to look at it's Spanish.
No, I'm not talking about so much about the architecture.
No,
I think landscape is gonna be key
Okay.
on the backside.
Yeah, I'll see what Ted can do. Ted's good at. He's
I
really
mean, even when you think about like a green wall, could help. And even if, it's a very vertical
more
face.
palm trees.
Well, palms are,
As long as
They
they're
frame
palms
it.
that only go up
right?
33 feet.
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's gonna take something
Something just to
Let
soften
me
it
think
up.
about that. Yeah.
like some magnolias or, something that's got some work to it, which I know takes room, but for me, that's, I don't know, what do you guys think? That's the start of the edge.
Yeah, I think
Well, this is the big challenge.
we need to address.
Sarah,
can you bring up the view corridor map?
If we make that possible, we don't go out further.
This element.
That's
just
something
that
I'll
element?
talk about.
Yeah.
So like, can't you put like that?
I had a question for you on, let's go to next floor. These may be further along than what I'm looking at here. Next one. Got the stairway there. Okay. Okay. Is this gonna be an elevator tower?
Nope. This is just a flat roof.
So there's no ADA access to the roof,
ADA access is right
to the
here.
roof?
Yes.
That's on the next one.
Nope. that ADA access comes to here, across here.
Right, but then we go to the next floor.
This is, this roof deck is at the third level.
So you're just looking down.
Yeah.
So it's, well,
Yeah.
what threw me off is
Yeah.
different furnishing completely.
Yeah. Is it? Like that. Yeah.
I'm going, okay.
You got one.
They got two roofs.
I'm going, yeah, it looks like there's something up higher, but,
That's a good one.
We do actually look at these.
I know you do, and that's why I like coming here.
Commissioner Crandall, you wanted the big email?
yeah,
With a view corridor map.
not,
Is it?
there's a view corridor map that,
With the green arrows on it,
Mhm.
that shows it.
Oh, I think that's an actual. Turn the big one.
I got it noted.
Yes,
in
it
there.
is. It's at the second to last page.
This
Yeah,
one?
that one.
There you go. Let's zoom in on that.
Next one up.
There we go. You can see that their whole site
Yeah.
falls within
Right.
that view corridor, the way that's drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So the way I read the code is we protect as best we can and preserve view corridor, and she had put in urban design element. Where's that? Oh, here we go. This is it. Yeah, the whole site is covered by it. So we've got to somehow evaluate how much they can impact that view. Typically, the conversations have been the horizon line was very important. If you lost somebody, there is no whitewater view
No.
to speak of.
Yeah, but you're coming down the hill. So
You are
so-
coming down the hill.
So at what point, and this is the exact same discussion we had last time.
Precisely.
At what point do we want to protect that view? So at what point are you saying, okay, Jordan and team, from here, we want to be able to see a continuous horizon? And then, once you get past that, then you can break it up a little bit, but let's not take it all away, and then let's get back to it as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's tough to define precisely, but I think that the building, well, this is gonna have to get coastal commission approval, right?
Yeah.
So if, you know,
So,
we wanna make,
okay, your view is probably gonna be okay. But,
yeah, no, but what I'm saying is if we work together
yeah.
to present something to them where we really have a strong argument that the architecture is part of the scenic corridor, which it can be.
Yeah.
The landscape,
Mm-hmm.
the architecture, and the ocean working together.
Yeah.
Then I think that's the case that needs to be made. And,
Okay.
you know, as I look at this in plan view, pick a sheet, you know, the landscape plan.
Yeah, any sheet.
You've crammed a lot of architecture into that corner, you know, where the two come together. And I understand you've got a lot going on there in terms of
Well, the other thing,
services.
the one thing that you also see is it's articulated as well. Because you have this deck at the first level, this element's pushed back, this element's out, and this element's out. So you have a lot of articulation there.
Yeah, but it's all
Plus there's
architecture.
a mound of dirt
Yeah.
or some kind of little,
Yeah. Pardon me?
there's a
Yeah,
mound of
like
dirt over there on
I
that.
noticed that on.
Correct, that's the high point of the site,
Yeah.
which obviously is gonna be excavated. But, this deck here is, this can be landscaped, and then, let me show you.
Well, what I'm gonna suggest is that you guys may not agree with me, but is that we eliminate some of this in the corner and consider almost like a park type setting here with the layering of landscape. It seems to work in the hillside.
So what we have right now, this entire element right here is articulated. So at the first level,
Well, can we go back to that image, that view as you come
yeah, I
down?
probably need to do some renderings of that area. So at the first level, you have the podium
that
Is it your PowerPoint?
flows into here.
Yeah, I was gonna try to use, which,
That's
Very
the big
back,
slab
furthest
thing.
corner.
Back one.
Yeah, in there.
So I'll do a small presentation looking this way and then looking this way at this area. Because it's solid here, it's all glass at the first level, and then once you get above the
See that
first
mound
level,
of dirt behind?
all that.
yeah, so that's all hiding it too.
And I don't think the city has any plans of doing anything with that.
I don't think they can. Wasn't
Yeah,
that
but
part
what
of
it
it?
is.
It's
That's
owned by
part of
the
your-
city, it's not covered by the
That wasn't.
same conserv-
Natural habitat.
Oh, that
yeah,
wasn't the natural?
conservation area. However, it is zoned open space, and so there's
Yeah.
not going to be much that.
So,
And that's the other thing that I wanted to look at is the sections, because Toll has surveyed this entire side all the way up to the park. Looking at the sections from the street all the way up to the park. So visually, we can look at that and say, okay, let's not go off of this. We can look at old sections and say, okay, I get it. What are the height elevation changes here?
So, is this misleading, this image?
I would never say that on anything that comes out of my office. Because if, in my mind, if it's misleading against me.
Well, this is,
So, yeah.
yeah, that might be the case, but this is an informal discussion.
No, I
We're
completely
not-
agree. I completely agree. And that's why it's like, that's why I want to cut those sections, because I know that these renderings come out looking a certain way. And if I can cut the section, then visually I'll know what the elevation changes are from the park to us, because I know the park is higher than us.
Oh, yeah, by a lot.
Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
but-
And it's higher than our roof line.
Uh,
So I should be able to see over that.
I think it blocks it's gonna block the horizon.
It's going to block the horizon, but at what point is it going to block the horizon is my very good question.
So you're Jordan, right?
I am Jordan. yes.
Okay. And I'm just, if I look at the property line in the back,
Yeah.
I know you have a 0 setback, right? And I think in the back.
I'm doing
But-
0 here, and then we do it, yes, we have a 0 setback allowed.
But, just consider that in plan view, you don't have hardly any area for landscape in this corner. And I understand you're trying to get as much as you can because it's opening up to the front. But I think you have to pull back on that corner to allow landscape. You don't necessarily have to break down the massing. I don't think.
I don't
If you
understand
can
what you're
get
saying,
some,
Steve, because,
Here, let me show you.
look at the plan.
are you talking about pulling landscaping out to like here?
No.
There you go.
The opposite corner.
There you go.
Oh, over
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, on the
Yeah.
back side.
Oh, I was confused.
So right
look
now on
at
the back
As you
side.
come down Pico, you will
Yeah.
have,
Because you've got nothing to,
So right down first level on first level on Pico or on that back corner is this. So it's a lobby with 2 doors out to an outdoor patio that's outside, overlooking what hopefully someday can be a park. Second level, you basically have a bridge across.
Mhm.
So this is open, but it's a bridge across. Third level, you have the same thing, a bridge across. So here you can see, and probably showing this in rendering would help, see the articulation and articulated massing of the building back there. Because you have this element here that basically has a bridge, and then you have this element here, which is completely eroded and only out at the street. So Ted can put pots and stuff down here.
yeah, no, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think it might be a combination
Yeah.
of landscape that spills over
Yep.
and
Exactly.
landscape that grows up from
Yeah,
there.
and I could even bring this back a little bit because this really is just deck area outside.
Yeah, no, I think you
And
can,
then,
and I think you
then
should.
it gives him the opportunity to do a layer of landscape at grade, and then a layer at this, and then we have 2 decks up here that can also have landscape coming off of those. And I agree it's not communicating well in these images, but doing a couple of articulated renderings for this page.
For just that corner.
Yeah, for just
Yeah,
that.
and I'm just seeing in plan view that there's like 3 feet or something, which is not enough.
this is what we've got, that we're kind of tasked with here.
Mhm.
This is page 6 of 11, Sheriff. Which is part of the public view corridor.
Mhm.
6 or 12.
Development review, the building heights and setbacks, public view analysis. You were kind of saying in your preamble a little bit that they need direction of how and what they need to do to comply with these sections of the code. Because it's a little vague on, you know, from Pico, where would they take their,
Yeah.
what do you want?
Yeah,
And you had mentioned that in your email also.
yes.
So those are kind of, and those are reflected in other sections of the general plan code, so, but they're all pretty much the same.
Well, we did a view corridor analysis, and this is before, and in the last meeting, the city had identified this view corridor, but it wasn't taking all of this. It was coming more down Pico this way.
It was,
It's not
if I remember right, it was originally
Yeah.
pretty much following Pico.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's not what's in front of us now.
Yeah.
How far does that view corridor expand from Pico north? Is it just? 'cause
No
it's-
one knows.
Well, this is
That's
saying,
what's confusing a little
yeah,
bit,
this
That's
is saying it's
precisely the
going-
problem.
Yeah,
right? Because you have two arrows on Pico that are pretty much just going straight out to the west, but then you've got that long bench area that's sort of on to the north. And that's what I was trying to figure out the other day. When you're on Pico, you're coming down,
That's coming down here, you can
Yep.
see.
you know,
Pico
this part's,
turns,
this
it comes
part's
down.
fine. It's this part over
This one's
that
showing
is
it from
blocked.
above that park.
And what is,
coming
what,
down.
how do we make a
And
finding
we're
about
gonna
that?
have,
Oh, I see what you're saying, so it's right
And
at
the
the
bigger-
cul-de-sac.
concern is, we're well within the height
this
restrictions of
is
the
the
site.
Sea Point. Houses right along here.
Below, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right
We're
over
below
Yeah.
the height restriction.
Well, I think the view protection is not something that most cities do. And, right, I mean, if
But
you're,
there are special views for certain cities, like Morro Bay, you're not gonna be able to block the view of that rock.
yeah, but I mean, like in
Tough to
Laguna
block
Beach,
that.
their classic thing is, you know, well, we're not gonna protect your view if the guy in front of you builds to the height limit.
Yeah.
And so that's what I think we need to understand if there's gonna be concern from the public or the people who live up there on the north end of your building, if that's encroaching on.
Well, anybody who lives
protected
above
view.
us, anybody who lives above us, there's no way.
There's no way.
Our hotel is definitely not gonna restrict any of their views. If anything, it's just gonna add
It's just
value.
gonna be the public view on people.
It's the only, yes, the only
Okay.
view I see that we are going to impact is coming down Pico.
Yeah,
And that's
Yeah,
the
I mean,
view
that's the
for
one-
visitors. that
And
we're-
that's
we're
why we
tasked
stepped down the
to-
building
yeah.
as we got closer to Pico, and that's why
And
we
that's great.
opened, that's why we opened up the corner, and that's why we orientated the building the way we did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What is the far north end of your building where you have that open deck? What is that part of your building?
Which one?
The very,
That's looking out over the park, right?
the
That's,
very north end.
This or that?
That.
That is basically, so the roof is the mechanical, right? So that's a
you got a
mansard.
mansard on that.
Yeah.
So that-
And
We have a rendering of the back side of the building?
Yes, we
I think
do.
it's called the
That
west-
area is basically the hallway.
There it is.
That
So
meets,
this is an open hallway.
Yeah, that'd be
Going
somewhere.
through here. And then all of this inside of here will be our articulated architecture, so it'll be a nice hallway.
So if you're going south, that'll be fine. I was just thinking from the view coming down, that massing could be broken up and
Yeah.
provide a peak view or something
Yeah.
in between your, like break your building in it.
But that's our rooms. And our biggest concern with doing anything on this side of the building other than a hallway or circulation is that this building eventually can't go up. They have the same height restrictions as us. So this building can at minimum go up 2 stories, if they want to go 3,
Oh,
they'll figure out how to park it. But this side of our building is what it is.
That's why, again, I think landscaping is a great tool,
Yeah,
even on that edge.
Well, this edge, I mean, I have all of these decks could have planting on them and stuff, because this is a nice hallway, and this is actually wide enough where I have seats. So basically, if I'm waiting for somebody in the room, I can actually sit outside. These vertical circulations here, like trash, storage for housekeeping, up and down. This is circulation to get down and out of the building.
because I need egress on this side and egress on this side.
Yeah, I think you need to tell the story on all sides of your project, you know, and you're focused, which you did a great job, by the way, of you know, the low, you know, down at the beach, right? That's important. But the coastal commission's gonna look at that scenic corridor and they're gonna say, okay, you didn't address it.
You didn't do enough.
Yeah,
They're always gonna say that.
true, but you gotta tell a story.
I know.
You have to have a good narrative on that. And, you know, your narrative's kind of lacking. I understand you're here and we're just discussing it.
Yep.
But I think you really need to focus on those areas. I personally like the hotel. I think we need a nice hotel.
I think it's
Saying
needed,
many.
definitely needed.
Well, especially that part of town, it's almost.
Well, this whole stretch,
It's like what do you
even,
want
even,
from
Yeah. But I mean, and it complements everything down there.
yeah, no, this,
I mean,
I opened this up and I'm like, wow, it's cool. You know, I like,
This
Like what
is
you're doing.
way off, this is way out of bounds, but have you thought about
but I'm going there.
a monument, like a gateway monument sign that you can put up there that would indicate, hey, you're entering San Clemente. It's not per se to your
Well, then, and that's
property,
the thing, is like,
but it's like almost a city amenity that
Yeah.
that like an arch or something across. This is, like I say, out of bounds. I'm just throwing out ideas across Camino, across El Camino there. Welcome to San Clemente, but ties that to your building.
I would, like I said before.
Because it is an
Yeah.
architect, it is
Yeah.
our gateway, and if
So
you can,
this element here started to play off of this element, one of our comments early on, design, right? So this tower and this tower started to play off each other. The articulation of this is creating that. But if you really think about it, we have this public land right here. And this aligns with the parking lot right here. There's no reason why the city can't eventually create something like that. And then also create a connection between this, the lost site, and us. That all works together.
you're talking about the bridge, like, kind of like
Yeah.
at Dana Point
Yeah, exactly.
at
Yeah.
Del Vista.
yeah.
But even if, you know, I mean, that's a big deal to do a bridge.
Oh, yeah,
But
Yeah.
I think the city,
I wouldn't think it would have to be an actual bridge, but it would
Yeah.
be.
but I think you
gateway
make a
type
good
of
point,
thing.
like you got, because it's kind of iconic now with the Hobie.
And it's kind of an opportunity to work with you guys and get funding from you guys to help do that. Like, and design it in as part of your project.
Well, even if like the bridge, I think they'll do that, that's 50%.
Yeah.
But I like it, those apartments where they put the Hobie sculptures and they got the
Yes.
little
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
monument, and then
Yeah.
you think about like Huntington Beach even on Main Street.
Yes,
They've got-
we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
And I think this is, to me, where you would do it in the city.
I mean, we have all of this land right here, which is basically a buffer between our pool and the sidewalk. If we don't do a U-turn, all of this landscape could be kind of like a sculpture garden type thing.
To me, I
Only-
think we
but
need an
only there.
offset from the view that, from the view
Ollie
that.
on a surfboard.
Is it Ollie or Ollie? I don't know.
Ollie.
Yeah, from the view that's being lost, if you have amenities that kind of offset that people
Yeah.
get emotionally attached to say, yeah, but we're getting this very nice entrance feature to our city that defines us, that you're putting in.
Because we have this here, but also walking up here, our accessibility, because this is at a different level, is from here, but we made it at a low enough slope so we don't have to put handrails. So the accessibility meanders up here to get to this level, and we actually put a couple benches and pockets so you can actually sit there and relax. So that's also a secondary path of travel.
Oh, yeah, I think
I don't know
you're
if I have too much city places
Yeah.
at North Beach.
Well, like, I've actually,
It comes from the nicer you, like, I did one of the first projects in downtown LA. And it was an empty parking lot, and we had to have a security guard there 24/7 when we were building it.
now I'm
Now,
old enough to have done one of the first projects.
well, the multifamily, and it was late 90s, multifamily in downtown LA. And there are no homeless people in this part of town anymore. they've all moved to Skid Row.
I think this is gonna help because you're
Oh,
gonna bring in
definitely.
a lot of
Yeah.
people that are gonna come flowing through there, and
Exactly.
that's gonna make them move.
Nice areas, they don't want to hang out there.
But I don't know, I'm just throwing out that I think we should think about that.
And that'll come.
Gateway.
We'll get to those things. I think we need to concentrate on elevations like this.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
You can see the horizon line. And you can see from this point, this is, I think, just after the road going into the little park. From car level. So that's pretty good. And you can see the Landers building right there. That's the end of our historic district, just to the right of that tower. There are parking lots on the right-hand side of it. So they have been sensitive from the previous things we've seen. Dropped that end of the building. They've got the little cafe roof there. The next level, it steps up. You can still see the horizon line. I think you picked a good thing, Steve, that if it weren't quite so massive on that the right-hand side, you could say, hey, we protected the ocean view. And there's a lot more ocean view as you go up Pico further. I think an argument could be made, now how do we do that? You've got a 3D model of this building now, right?
Uh-huh.
So is it possible to do a
Simulated drive down.
drive down of
Yeah.
Pico?
Mhm.
I think that's a tool we need to be able to
well, and
review.
then what do you got, are you thinking that versus story pools or both, or?
Oh, yeah.
We have to do
At
story
some point
pools.
we're
Oh, you can't do story pool on something this big. You'd
Too
have
much.
cranes out there with things hanging from it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, how low can the podium go? I mean, what?
Well, the podium is dictated by the entry point, and we put the garage entry at the lowest point, and right now we're trying to figure out how we get the chase truck in and out of the garage without eroding it too far back. So the podium is about as low as it can go.
Plus, there's a balance there because.
Well, yeah, because I mean, you don't want it too low because
You don't want to be at street level.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, but the site steps, so on the low side, we basically are at street level, and I'm putting the podium up high.
But the pool deck's above the podium.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
The pool deck is the podium. The pool deck is the
I
podium.
mean, I don't know if you guys ever been to, I think it's like the Hilton in Huntington Beach.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
sure.
Yeah, we just do work there,
Yeah.
and so I was staying there one time, and you look, they have the podium at a level.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see any cars.
It's nice.
You look, you see sand.
Yeah.
You see the beach.
Yeah.
It'd be nice.
That's where you
Finicky
want-
pool.
Right.
We'll see.
So you're not going to see the
That's
sand
gonna
again, but you are
No.
going to see
But it's, you're
more
not
of
going
the
to see
ocean.
the cars, and,
Yeah.
and it's hopefully,
for
So-
this thing to be successful. Because if you feel like you're at the street when you're at
No
the
one's gonna
pool,
get the
Mhm.
it's just not a good experience.
Gotcha. That's a good point.
So we need to be able to view the impact of the building to this view. And it's not the only approach. If you look at the gateways, it's coming south on El Camino right there at the bicycle shop,
Yeah.
looking this way. Also, they're calling it a gateway coming down Pico, I think, in that area too.
Right.
So a lot of things going on.
Yep.
It's like it's probably, I'd say maybe even the most important site in our city.
So if we can get some
So
kind of
there you have
graphic,
it.
Yeah,
until we find another one.
and it doesn't need to be, to start with, it doesn't need to be landscaped at all, whatever you can come up with.
Yeah.
Where we can see how this changes.
Yeah, that's the challenge you have with this site, is that every side is important.
Yeah, and
so-
I mean, design-wise, we've done that. We've articulated it.
Well, I think we can articulate
Yeah,
the
now,
building.
now it's just how do we communicate it well?
I'm looking at it as masses.
Right, exactly, so much.
you know,
So how do
I
we-
know we can come up with an architectural solution to it. If we can decide where the masses can and can't be.
Yeah.
And to what degree. Do you have any input on that, Sarah?
I'm sorry? Yes, I'm ready.
Take it.
I'm taking very vivid notes.
But and I think Steve made a good comment. Coming south, that wall is brutal. And that's part of pushing the building as far, I'm going to call that north, as we can to get it out of this view corridor.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, and this is just me speaking out loud, is could I go to open stair? Because half of that tower is stair, half of that tower is elevator.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Now
That's what I was asking,
That
what
might
is
soften up
in
the
there?
massing.
that would soften up that entire edge that's really the hardest edge in the whole building right now.
And there's some nice architectural features
Oh, I can.
that you can add to an open stair.
Oh, I can make a really
Plus,
nice
it's,
stair.
You
people
pretty
going up
comfortable
and down, they're
with
gonna have a
those
great
two
view.
elevators? For housekeeping and food delivery and everything?
Yeah. I mean, it's at one point we had those two elevators, and then we had one in the lobby / podium, and we actually do have one in the lobby just to get it from the lobby street level to
Short
podium, the short run. Yeah. And it's a 3 to 2 story hotel. I mean, I go to the rooftop in Laguna, and I never use the elevator.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, these small boutique hotels.
Yeah, you're younger than we are.
I do if I have to wear heels.
Yes.
But it is. I mean,
But I
it's
like
like
your thinking.
yeah.
So I just took a quick look at that
Opening up the north end. And
analysis of the heights,
Uh huh.
and I was having a hard time.
Oh, I was having a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
The scale.
This particular sheet.
It's like the first or second, it's like the second or third sheet it's at. Go one more.
Oh, yeah. So I had one note, it says explain. I don't,
So basically, as I understand your height, how you guys want to do the height, and it's always been probably one of the hardest heights in the industry, is every mass you want to know the average height of that mass above the finished grade of what is below it. So that's what we did, and that's what each one of these are. So each one of these, like so area A1, go over here and find A1. All of those points are A1. And then I give the average height above grade there. And it has to be less than 45 feet. This letter here from Toll Engineering is showing that the original survey on the site that we have is different than the current data. So that's just justifying that the datum heights on the original survey are 2 feet less than what's on site.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but I mean, yes, it is. It comes across as very, let's just say, meticulous.
Yeah, okay, well, I understand it now, because it says, at the top, it says maximum height calculation.
Yep.
Maximum height is 45 feet, and then there's some numbers here, which I can barely read. But like it says on point A of area A1.
So A1, the average height of all those heights is 20 feet 1, above finished grade.
So you have some part of it, I assume it's the ridge.
Yep.
Which is at 51 or 48 or something? Or?
No, that's, so basically, so that's the height of it, and then the finished grade right below it. You see that?
Oh, I see.
So that's what that is. So that's the existing finished grade. So basically, the site as it exists today has been graded. So I'm taking it back to the original grades before
Which is
that,
even higher.
which is higher because it's already been graded for a garage at one point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sir, you've reviewed this.
This will be.
Yeah.
Will be.
I mean, somebody's gonna need to tell the planning commission that, hey, this
That
this
makes
whole
sense.
thing falls below
Yes.
the height requirements. And
believe me, this is the last thing I want to get caught up on. So I've checked this thing like 3 times.
okay. All right, well, it makes more sense now. I didn't really understand how.
It
these
still is
things-
one of the hardest height verifications.
Well, and part of the reason is because you've done a good job of, modulating. Okay. Well, is that some good input.
No, it is. It's,
It's
about as clear as it was when I got here.
Is it?
That's usually what I'm looking for.
Hey,
Thank you.
Is there any opportunity
Not making us feel good with that compliment.
on any of these towers
Yes, sir.
that you've got, here is only stairs.
Yep.
Here we've got stairs and elevator.
Uh-huh.
This is back of house and bathrooms and whatnot for the outdoor.
Yeah.
Is there any way to, you've got kind of a void in the middle of the building. That I was wondering what, if there was any, it might, I hate to say it might take up a unit. But to get that stair smaller, so this didn't have to be quite so big.
Well, again, the one thing, if I can justify an open stair based on, now the thing I'm going to have to do is based on travel distance, do a calculation
Mhm.
that
Mm-hmm.
you guys.
I think you're going to be okay on
Yeah,
those.
so do I. So if I can justify an open stair, then I can actually start to make these elements feel a lot less massive.
I think that would,
I-
you know,
I
if-
think
if
that's
just
gonna
this
help.
didn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
quite
Yeah,
so
plus
big.
that helps over here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other, on
Yeah.
the far north end. That's why I was asking, what's over there? What can you do to open that up?
Yeah, I mean, and given the fact that the back side of the site is always going to be open, I have a 60-foot setback there, so I mean, I got no restrictions on fire rating or anything there.
Yeah, that gives it more of a feel of sort of this translucent.
just-
I mean, it might be hard, I
Something
mean,
like
it
this.
wouldn't be the end of the world if you could somehow even do,
In the front.
I mean, it could be closed below and then
Like
open up,
this.
maybe
Exactly.
as it
Yeah.
reaches the highest level.
Yeah.
Um,
So I can definitely look at that. At minimum, at the
Yeah,
last level, look at making it an open stair and bringing that massing down, pushing back the mass to where the elevator and the trash chute are. So at least that corner becomes completely transparent now.
Do you see any of the podium on this side?
Not from this view. There's a lower one, I think. There's another picture, I think that's lower, isn't there? Oh. There it is. It's below those ones even here. From the park itself, it's below it.
There is a, precedent in this style to have a material change at the podium level, which also helps to sort of break down all the work and massing. That's the base.
Yeah, so basically,
Plinth.
at the base of this, I have a course of, so basically this, the garage, the podium is proud.
Mhm.
So I have a small tile roof here. So basically there's a slope there with the tile roof to create that transition. And then we have a little sill for these windows, and then the Juliets, and then the pop out, and then below you have the articulated tile openings for open garage.
It's still the same white.
Same
Tile.
white. We could change that. The one thing that I brought up early on in design process in these meetings was what stone was Spanish colonial. If I was going to change it to something, right? Because it would typically be a stone or brick. So, and I think somebody at that time said Spanish colonial doesn't have articulated materials at the bottom.
Well, I think there's like maybe heavy timber or some sort of, there's some,
We can play with something there if we wanted to, yeah.
because right now it doesn't read, and I understand we don't see the shadows,
Yep,
but it doesn't read as sort of a different, like a plinth,
a different plane.
which I think
Yeah.
would give it a kind of a nice base.
Yeah, yeah,
Just a thought.
I agree. Thank you.
This is just a tool. Don't take this as being. Right now, I lost where I was. At this is back of house.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of mechanical equipment.
Mm-hmm.
you might just think about and then going to flat.
Once I get interior.
So maybe there's a little step in it, so it would shorten this wall, but then mechanical then would be hidden behind that roof and parapet here. Might make that. Let's see where that would be. Here. It would. Maybe this roof would only be that big. And see if you can get all your mechanical hidden behind there rather than coming out through that roof. I don't know what kind of food they're going to be serving, but
It'll be a small kitchen, but it will definitely have a hood. I've been working with Captive Air to see what kind of products we can go to horizontal if we have to, and because I definitely don't want to see a big hood on top of this building.
yeah.
We want to screen it as best possible. The other thing I've been looking at here is just to articulate it, put a small shed at this level to give us a little bit more room, and then so at the
Yeah, I think that other
Yeah.
elevation is kind of There's a lot of pages here.
Sorry. You get that on your
I get the basics on my notes and then I listen to that over again.
Oh, okay.
I gotta put in the minutes.
But I think we certainly got the flavor of the building. We just got to,
I get that there's a couple areas to articulate, which is going to definitely help the architecture. And
it would be this element.
Yeah.
I think we can do to foreshorten that because the view down to Pico. It's, that thing.
Yep.
Yeah, just because I'm looking at that horizon line. If we're going to try to protect as much horizon line, if we can just
If I can get
shorten that a little bit
Yep.
somehow and do the same thing. I think with a drive-by, it'll really.
Yeah. I think going to open stairs, I mean, at minimum, that takes the roof off the top of it.
Hmm.
And that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah.
So open stairs are not
At minimum, let's try. I can look at open stairs at the fifth level. I mean, at the third level, right? That way, that takes the roof off. It cuts back that back corner. And then as I'm coming down, I can still go to open stairs, but they can be. I can look at the architecture of that to make it look a little bit more. And then
Any other areas that?
work with landscape to soften some of these elements and some of these elevations.
Yeah, no, I think, it's really this view quarter thing. So
That's the thing that
you
I'm.
need to
that-
focus
that
on
I'm
your
most-
story.
Yeah.
For those areas. I really like the project. I think it's well done, especially from the intersection.
Mhm.
But, and I understand you sort of ignored those other sites for now, but
Yeah.
you're gonna have to tell that story.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
gonna have to be a compelling one.
And the other story to tell, I'm sure there are people who have tried to stay at Courtyard over there in Dana Point,
Okay.
that you can't get to
Yeah. Yeah.
because they even have to put a special U-turn lane
Yeah.
on one
It's so confusing.
that we want to make sure you can make a narrative and prove to engineering that
That's okay.
this works better than that.
Yeah. Because this is a substantially smaller hotel than that too.
Yeah, I don't know how big that one is.
Yeah, it's a boutique,
Yeah, this is a small boutique hotel.
but it would definitely be the nicest one.
Yeah.
Same for me.
And let's hope most people ride their bikes.
And there's going to be a lot. Now
Around here, they will.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You got the,
For the restaurants and the cafes.
here's
Yeah,
one thing.
you will have that business.
Yeah, I know. There's gonna be a lot of people going down to the rooftop for
The
sunset.
cafe here.
Uh-huh.
you're gonna have a lot of competition from the Miramar
Oh, I agree.
and the bowling alley that if you didn't want to compete with them with the cafe and put a room or two there, we might be able to eliminate a room or two up on the upper level to open up the corridor. That's a business call.
I
for
like
you guys.
the amenity and I like engaging the community.
I think, wasn't that a
Yeah.
requirement?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
a requirement.
yeah. The
So there's a
engagement.
restaurant and a cafe.
I think it was.
So basically, well, there's a restaurant on the roof, and then here
Yeah,
there's
there's only
like
like a
cafe.
3,500 square foot
Yeah.
cafe.
But there's a really nice outdoor patio dining space out there.
Yeah.
That's fairly
And that's
large.
open to the public?
Because you're
This
on the
is
other
a-
side of the
Yeah.
street.
This
I
is
think
open
you're
to
gonna
the
need-
public.
to get
We
people
have,
to-
yeah. So we have a fireplace
There's a-
out here. We have a water
that-
feature out here. This is a nice outdoor
The
sitting
bowling
area.
alley, and they'll have
So theoretically, you could also rent this
a
out.
food court.
So this whole area
Yeah,
is
it's
pretty
a food
private.
Landers for
I don't know about you,
without
but
a-
I don't know yet, but is it similar to like the packing house?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, it's similar to the, I don't know what they call it down in
It's the
Carlsbad.
Palomar Food Hall.
Yeah, they
The
have
one that
those
took
there.
over
PC Anderson's.
Anderson's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only difference is, and I think this is where there is coordination, is that the theater portion of the property is going to be an event space
Mhm.
that will host weddings. And
So
so,
we have 3 wedding venues now.
we have
at
more than
least.
that. Wedding.
Just
no,
right
but
there.
just right there, there's
Yeah,
3.
Right there,
Yes.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's 3, and the business
It's
is
huge for you.
And the art
Boom
building now
for it.
is one.
So who's going to open
Yeah.
the spa?
Yeah, the golf course and the other one.
There's no
Golf
spawn
So
sentiment.
yeah, Ole Hanson,
If you turn
The
land
public
into a
house.
spa.
the casino, and
You
no,
don't
that
have
would be actually
rooms for
Put a spa
4.
in this hotel.
You'll have 4 within walking distance
Yeah.
of this hotel. So
That's a good idea.
Is it possible for you to talk to the owner about the opportunity? You're the owner. Can I talk to you about this gateway thing?
Mhm.
I think becoming part of the San Clemente culture is huge.
Mhm.
This is just a business. It's not, and it could be a destination business. I'm sure that's a plan.
Yes.
But it's not part of the city. It's not part of the fabric of the culture where you're inviting people to come.
Mhm.
I think you need to invest more to make this part of that destination where you're basically saying, we are San Clemente,
Mhm.
and putting that gateway, some element in here that's significant. And whether it's a bridge, whether it's just a landmark piece,
yeah,
something that really steps up the game and says, we are here in this town to stay, and we are identifying with the town.
Here's a question. Does the city have an arts component yet?
Yeah, also.
I mean,
No.
we don't have an art program.
There's no,
no, but we do have some.
It's not compulsory.
We do have some stuff in our urban design element that touches
But it's
on.
not. But it's not public.
We don't have
It's
a-
not required.
Right, we don't
Yeah,
assess
no
a
art
fee on
publication.
you if you,
Yeah.
like in lieu for art, or
Yeah.
you have to make, so this is,
So maybe that's an
Voluntary.
opportunity for us to start to do a voluntary
yes.
art in public places.
Which could help with the coastal.
Exactly.
It's
That's
gonna
it.
help be
the
huge with
trick is
coastal.
with
and-
historic.
Yep.
You're not gonna be able to put a bridge or whatever
No,
and
but-
have it block any of those views of landers or anything.
We can come up with
Approach it.
something. We can
So
come
it
up
may
with-
have to be something
Yeah.
a little
I
lower
mean,
than.
even like everybody knows about the Duke, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's something.
Huntington or the Hobie.
Yeah.
You can identify that with data point.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it could be a landmark structure, it doesn't have to go over the street, although I think you could do it with metal that's not an actual bridge, that would not obstruct the view on the north end of the property. But
You're just opening a can of worms when you just start trying to do
Cantilever.
something over.
But
Woods
I
Highway.
think we
Yeah.
can.
I think there's enough
we
room
can-
on that corner.
I think.
Yeah.
some kind of monument to San Clemente on there that really says, oh, we're in San Clemente now.
I can get an artist.
Not an arch one.
No. So I mean, I'm just thinking: is there a story we can tell through sculptures that talk a little bit to this, the history of Ole Hansen and the history of San Clemente. I mean, the surf culture, the Spanish colonial, I mean, Ole
Something.
Hansen, yeah.
In San Juan, they did that
Yeah.
whole wall of like bronze.
Yeah.
Or something that just, incorporates small amount of art, or something that's has San Clemente on there, the name.
Well,
So
definitely.
you're walking
Yeah.
into this.
And or I mean, even like down at the pier, we have all the artwork down there. We start to bring some of that same language up here, but then at the same time maybe do a sculpture or something.
But one thing we're going to be, we've got a new, I guess I can say this, we've got a new city council.
Good.
With no planning or architectural experience.
Okay.
So we're going to have to walk them through the process and educate them every inch of the way, probably. To be very careful. So everything's going to have to be thorough, T's crossed, I's dotted.
Yeah, because that's where you'll end up, is the
Yeah.
city council.
Yeah.
And I think you've
Sometimes they don't
noticed,
listen to us.
we want to see, we'd love to see the property improved.
Yeah, I definitely do.
Is there anything on this application that requires city council?
I don't think so.
No,
It would be appealable by the city council, but
Yeah.
there's no.
It's a master plan.
Oh, okay.
sorry, I think that was misleading. The master plan means there's 3 different, we created that for like our
But there's
internal.
no zone change.
Nope.
No
No.
GBA.
No variances.
No, it's a conditional use permit,
Yeah.
a
Cultural
This is
heritage
cultural
program.
heritage permit,
Yeah.
and
This is
then-
Okay, that's
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
But
and
they keep
we
the appeal
do
in the
anticipate this coming back to design review. Our concern at this stage moving forward was really like the public views and to help the applicant identify how to do it. The design review subcommittee and to the extent that you guys have an insight into the planning commission generally, what you want to see as far as information that helps illustrate what we're talking about public view impacts. And I think we've got some direction
Yeah, definitely.
on that
And
moving
I think
forward.
planning has the responsibility if something is so big and a public concern, you can direct it to city council, correct?
It has to be appealed.
No,
I don't know.
we can elevate certain administrative permits up to the zoning administrator or planning commission, and the zoning administrator can do the same thing to bump it up to the planning commission, but the planning commission doesn't have the ability to.
If I were on council, I'd call it up.
In
This
this
is a
town,
big enough thing for the city.
That's true. There's a likelihood.
So
that this is-
council can actually just call it up. And say,
Yeah.
hey,
Oh,
we'd like
yeah.
to see
And
that.
I think
Okay.
that's probably quite likely.
Okay. It's good for
Well-
ownership to know.
in this town, you have a
All the
lot
more
of
reason to
people
have a good
who,
story.
you don't need many people to make a big stink out of
Who's been
something.
through that?
That's-
That's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, we have an item, council, and it was just a very minor beer and
Beer
wine.
and wine, yeah.
That's going to council this upcoming meeting because the council wanted it called. And it was approved, everything, we did everything
Yeah.
by the way we do it.
Would you recommend that we include the liquor license in this submittal or defer it for the restaurant?
You know what,
It's
so a
actually,
I don't know
hotel,
if it's-
I think we're going to address that. Hotels typically provide alcohol.
yeah.
So for the planning commission, we'll include that.
I don't
What I would
see-
recommend though, it is, we discussed signs.
Yes.
Are you looking at?
We're definitely looking at it, we don't want it to hold up the submittal, but we're definitely gonna start a signage program to design, and the owner is more discreet than grand.
Yeah. I would recommend if you're coming, to try to do some of that work. Sign
Oh, yeah.
programs can take a little bit of time. Granted, once approved, it's going to take a while to build this thing, so you do have some time. But we do encourage people to do their signs in coordination with the
architecture. Yeah, definitely.
And have a conversation with the Historic Society. And
Who's
basically
sitting
telling
on
you,
it
it's still Larry Culbertson.
Culbertson, do you need an introduction?
Sure.
I can do that.
You wanna do that?
Yeah.
Okay, 'cause I could do
I
that
think he would
too.
love to see something there, but he don't want to block or take away from,
What's there?
kind of a purist.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. But this makes North Beach. I mean,
Completes
it,
it.
it is a good thing for the city rather than a vacant lot there.
Oh, yeah. No, we're very
Yeah.
excited about it. Same as, this looks cool. Looks good.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hopefully that was,
And it's good to see you back.
Thank you.
there you go. So you're gonna be coming back to us?
Yes, we will.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna go to Coastal and introduce the project, but we're gonna come back here before we go to
Yeah, and it has to go
Oh, so
through
we have to-
planning
Before
commission
we
it'd be
formal, yes,
So done.
yes.
They're gonna wanna see us
Yeah.
happy
We're gonna-
on board
Okay.
before you go formal with
But I do
them.
wanna introduce us
Yes.
to them, just so they know that we're working on something. But I want their buy-in before we do
Yeah,
anything.
we're here to work with you.
Yeah.
Not against you.
Yes. I do need that. Definitely do need that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. It's nice meeting you.
Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you. I'm Rachel, by the way.
Hi, Rachel.
Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, it was nice to see you again.
Okay, no new business?
Nope.
No old business? No oral and written communication? No?
Nothing written, I don't see anybody,
All right.
unless Sarah wants to.
Do I hear a
Speak your
motion
mind.
to
I will
adjourn?
move we adjourn, the regular meeting of the Design Review Subcommittee to, Wednesday, January 11th, 2023 at 3 PM in the community room here at City Hall.
2023, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So last meeting of the year,
Yes.
okay.
Doesn't
Good
feel
job,
wrong.
Sarah.
Thank
Sarah.
you.
If you can get those minutes of the previous reviews,
Absolutely.
it
Yeah, I
will-
think,
I think it'll be more of a